Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Humanley podcast. My name is Daniel Reuters, and today I'm joined by Jodi Allen. Thank you so much for being here today, Jodi.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Jodi is a clinical nutritionist. She's a yoga teacher and a mindfulness facilitator, and she's got a special interest in working with veterans and the first responder community. So, Jodi, you've had a really interesting journey since you graduated a couple of years ago. There's been a lot going on for you, and I've been really impressed with the work that you've been doing over the last couple of years. So, would you just like to sort of talk about what your journey was as a student, and then what you've done now that you've graduated?
Yeah, look, it has been a long road. It's been an exciting one and a challenging one as well. While I was at uni, I went through, as many other people do, significant challenges. I lost my mum to cancer. I went through a divorce. I lost my grandfather all in the 1 year, my final year of uni. So the fact that I graduated was huge. It wasn't without its ups and downs, and I wasn't even sure that I was actually going to finish my degree. Quite a few times there, it was a real, dragging the knuckles over the line kind of thing. But I just had this visualization through the whole time I was at uni of my graduation, and I graduated, and felt like a miracle. And the fact that I was also asked to present the graduation speech at the convention center was pretty huge as well. So I was pretty proud of myself just to get to graduating. And then, finding this career path that I had not even envisaged for myself while I was studying. So it's been a road, and I'm really happy to be where I am now, working with the veterans and the first responders that really, they need our help. And yeah.
So, what drove you, or what gave you that desire to actually start working with the veterans and the first responders? Because there's not a lot of clinical nutritionists that I know of that have come out and really focused on that area.
No, and you're right. And it wasn't my focus while I was even studying. I wasn't actually sure what I wanted to do with myself. And then meeting my fellow graduate, Meredith Edwards, we were studying together. She was actually working, teaching yoga with veterans. And I'm an ex-serving member. I've served for 14 years in the Air Force myself. And I had a presumption that this organisation, Mates for Mates, was mainly for injured ex-army serving members, which is quite often the view that people have of it, the organisation. And she said, come along. So, and I joined, and I became a member of this organisation myself. And it found me. Meredith was posted with her husband, and she said, you would be awesome. You belong here. And I didn't have any qualifications at the time. And I remember thinking, this resonates with me. And I think because of my background as well, I was accepted with open arms. And I thought this was something that I could actually do. So I was very fortunate that I could study that, teaching meditation and yoga, and teaching at Mates, whilst also wrapping up my degree as well. So just through the connections I made at uni and my own background and my own story, it all has evolved from there. So I'm very grateful for meeting these people that have come into my life, and this is where I am now.
And it's really, really interesting because what I've observed over the years, for anyone who doesn't know me, I've been lecturing at various institutions around Australia for a number of years, and I've seen a lot of students come through and graduate and go on to do certain things, and most of them have done quite well. But you're a real standout in my mind, Jodi, because you've really taken hold or taken control of exactly what's happening now with the work you're doing, and you're really excelling, and it seems to be coming quite easily for you in some regards.
Yes, well, because I am ex-military, I'm not a business person, so I really don't have a business mindset. But I think the fact that just my background and the history that I have has been able to make instant connections with the space that I'm working in. So it was a natural strength that I had that I actually didn't even realize. And it wasn't until Meredith, my colleague, she opened this world up to me that I didn't even had never even considered. And I think that gave me an instant strength in the field now that I'm working in, because I already have it. I already have the background. There's an element of trust as well, especially in the veteran and first responder community. We have an instant rapport and we trust each other because I'm ex-serving as well. So I never thought while I was studying that I could use my background and something that I already had in me to make a career for myself. And I think that's why it's just snowballing at the moment, and I'm getting job offers and interviews and meeting people. And I think because I'm so passionate about it as well, and having a sense of purpose just gives me that drive continuously. And it's just, when I said I'm not a business person, I don't know how to market myself. I have a love-hate relationship with social media. But yeah, it's evolving and at a rapid rate, and it's exciting.
So when you're talking about that passion and that you love what you do, why do you feel so passionate about the Mates program? And for those that are listening now, can you explain a little bit more about what Mates is and why you think it's a really worthwhile and an important cause?
Yeah, well, so Mates for Mates are a non-profit organisation, and their main focus is to help with the rehabilitation of veterans and their family members that have been injured through their service. So that can be both physically and mentally, and often it's a combination of both. Not many of us get out of the Defence Force with injury-free, unfortunately. It's very, very common. It's just due to the nature of the job that we have. And I'm definitely passionate about it because I see firsthand every week the power of connection, community, how we can come together to help each other heal, both physically and mentally. And that's the main aim of the organisation. So I frequently say I get goosebumps on a regular basis doing what I do, because I see how powerful it is. And, as natural health practitioners, we know on a deeper level, the mind-body connection and how it's all intertwined, and how powerful it is when we can help with that.
When you started in this area, you had a little bit of resistance, and it wasn't just smooth sailing for you, because from my understanding in the discussions that I've had with you in the past, is that there's not really any nutritionists or complementary medicine practitioners trying to get into this space. So you had a bit of an uphill battle at the start.
Oh, definitely. And you recall, Dan, it was, in my last year of uni, we had that discussion about, I've studied the wrong degree. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not covered by Medicare. and what have I done, kind of thing. But I know that within my soul, the natural health was right for me, and I didn't want to. No disrespect to dietitians, but I didn't want to study, dietetics. So that's not the road that I wanted to go down, and I thought, I'm not going to be able to make a career out of this. And I felt it was, I was taking a step. Every time I'd make a step forward, I'd take a step back. And I'm not going to be able to work with veterans because, they're only using, especially on defence bases, they'll only use dietitians, and because of the Medicare rebate and things like that. But I've not let that affect me personally. I know that, okay, sometimes I may lose a job to a dietitian because they can get a dietitian cheaper than they can hire my services. And I've learnt to be, that's okay. That is okay, because what I do is so unique that they can't get someone else that does what I do, or it's not easy for them. There's not many people that do what I do. And I think when you specialize in an area and you make yourself reputable and knowledgeable, and this is what I do, this is my thing, this is my jam. And when I was first approached very early on after I graduated to work on a retreat with veterans and first responders, they were, oh, we'd like you to do nutrition and the yoga as a package. I had never even thought of doing that myself. And straight away, I didn't hesitate. I went, yeah, I can do that, no problem. And then I went home and went, oh God, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I've done that multiple times since. I say yes. In business, I say yes. I get asked to do things that I've never done before, and I just say yes. And then I worry about it or work out how to do it later. And that's gotten to me where I am now, I think, as well. It's that just there's going to be some knockbacks, and that's okay. And there's plenty of work for all of us. And there's plenty of work for me and what I'm doing, because it is that kind of niche. I've found a niche and it's needed, and that's where I can stand out.
You're absolutely right. It is needed. And obviously the fact that you're being sought out for your services and the information that you're providing and the assistance that you're providing to all of the veterans and the first responders is very valuable. So there's no doubt about that. And what I'd like to know is how what you're doing is actually being received by the Mates members. They're obviously really getting a lot of benefit out of what you're providing.
Yeah. And well, I think for me, I can just see the changes in, so often mindfulness-based therapies and meditation and yoga can meet with resistance and skepticism in, especially in the military community, or even in the wider community as well. There can be people say, "Oh, I can't meditate," or "I can't do yoga." So specifically what I do is for all injuries. So I teach a restorative yoga that's we don't get up off the mat. So I have traumatic brain injury. I have people with amputees, stroke. So the fact that it's open to any kind of injury or incapacity that someone may have, it removes a lot of the stigma and that around it, and the resistance around it as well. And I can see when they first come there, okay, I'll give it a try, and then they're religiously there 2 to 3 times a week, and their sleep is better. Just last night, one of the Vietnam veterans got up off the mat and I know I'm going to go home now. I'm going to have the best sleep I'll have all week. And I just, and that's the goosebump moments, and I can see it firsthand, the changes in them. And some of them will come to a class in the beginning quite reserved or quiet or not making eye contact and things like that. And then within a few weeks, they've made new friends. They're talking, they're engaging, and they're really coming out of their shell. So that's the changes that I can visibly see, and obviously they're feeling it, mentally and physically as well. And that's the most rewarding part about it. That's the whole mind-body connection that we love and that we know about and that we can share. And that's what I love to do. And I do that on retreats as well. It's fantastic.
Well, it really does sound like those results are speaking for themselves, because you're observing the benefit, and those in as a part of the program are obviously seeing that benefit as well. Now, when you left the Air Force, was there any of this sort of service available to you, or is this really something that's pretty groundbreaking and new?
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely new, because when I discharged back in the early 2000s, you wore a uniform one day and civilians the next, and you were sent on your way. I was given a gift by my workmates, and I didn't have work. I had my back injury, and I was left on my own, and it was really mentally tough. And just that the transition. So now, when we used to transition, it was basically, you're in one day, you're out the next. That's it. See you later. So now, thankfully, they're now calling it a transition. There's a transition team. There's more awareness now over the support that we need to give veterans and the first responder community, especially with those that have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, from their service, that there needs to be this care and the mental health support for when they're transitioning or when they're injured. And there's so much more awareness around it now. And the fact that when I first started teaching the yoga and meditation, it was a small class and it was getting bigger. And Meredith had a lovely base there of people coming along to mates, and the services now just getting bigger. I've been fortunate to be interviewed quite a few times now through magazines, newspaper articles, because mates are really wanting to push and promote the fact that what we do is no other service does it. No one else is doing this for the veteran community. So it is groundbreaking, because it's now they're starting to do programs through actual military bases that Meredith is involved in Newcastle. So she's getting to do family based programs with currently serving members. So what she's doing is groundbreaking as well with the currently serving, and I'm focusing on the veteran and first responder community that are not serving anymore. So it's fantastic that it's getting accepted, and there's more knowledge out there, and there's more people, coming along because they're learning more about it than, hey, this is something that it's worked for other people. Maybe it'll work for me too.
The thing that's sort of going through my mind at the moment is that in just such a short time, you've made an incredible impact in this area. And you're only really working with people around Brisbane. So is there any other types of these programs happening in other capital cities? Or are we sort of just looking at something at its infancy here?
Well, the good news is, so I know, unfortunately, with COVID, there have been so many negative ramifications with, employment and, in the health space and that as well. But fortunately, one positive outcome for me personally and business-wise to come out of that is that it has shown the need that for online delivery of services. So I'm I can't say too much about it because it's in the early stages at the moment, but we're developing wellness programs that can be delivered online. So they'll be nationally based and also in-person, 3-day wellness programs and that as well. And so that is also new and a positive outcome that there's so many veterans, especially in the remote locations, that don't get to participate. We only have a few centres around Australia. Townsville, there's a new one opening in the Northern Territory, and there's one in Tasmania. So it's very expensive to build a family recovery centre and have all of these services. So the great thing is we've been talking for a couple of years about delivering them online, but there's never been the real push or need. And what we've been through in the last few months has really brought this out, and we're getting funding, and it's great because the positive thing is that now more people around Australia will be able to access these. And I know even as part of a member of Yoga Australia, so many yoga teachers now and nutritionists as well are delivering online services where they weren't before. So it's furthering our reach. So there is, I think that is a positive thing to come out of that as well.
Absolutely. There is definitely something positive that comes out of something not so positive.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad to hear that you're looking at delivering this online and changing the way in which it's been traditionally delivered, because you'll be able to help a lot more people. And I really do think the work that you're doing is going to help a lot more people. I'm really excited to see where you are in a few years' time with all of this. And on that point, I just wanted to maybe allow you to dream a little bit here, but where do you see this going? What's it going to look like in 5 years' time?
Oh, look, the world's my oyster. And the visualization is big, because I think being ex-military, I was having this conversation with an ex-serving friend the other day, and we can, because we're taught to, work within this is your rank. I was a corporal. That was where I was, I never made decisions outside of my, my specific job. That was it. This is what you do. There's your task. That's it. So it's a whole new, type way of doing things for me, is thinking big, thinking the bigger picture. And that's been a real learning curve for me. So, and that's the same when I first arrived at Mates and I had the opportunity. I will be your new resident nutritionist. I will be, delivering these programs Australia-wide. I will be promoting. And I remember being told then, okay, just don't get too carried away. We don't do nutrition services and that kind of thing here. Well, it may be 2 years down the track, but it's happening. So I see in 5 years that there'll be centres, there'll be so many more people meditating and doing yoga and looking after their nutrition and their mental health. And, can't say too much about that either, but I've been asked to be on a TV show, delivering nutrition, being the nutrition advisor for a TV show. So that's pretty cool. That's reaching more people. So for me, when I think big, I listen to podcasts, other podcasts, and, they're great in inspiring people and giving you drive and things like that. But so many of them I've noticed as well, I know we were talking about this the other day, they're focused on money. how to be a 7-figure yoga teacher, how to make money through your website and things like that. For me, I've not ever focused on the money or the income or how much I know we need to put food on the table, but how much money I need to make every year, or I want to be a millionaire, or, maybe that's a little bit high, but being focused on the money. Whereas for me, I want to focus on my reach. Can I reach more people and educate and have a sense of purpose? And since I've found, or this purpose has found me, really, it's changed everything. And the drive then comes naturally. And I know not everyone can do the job they love or find their purpose easily, but my purpose has come through, like I said earlier, what my strengths are that I didn't even really realize I had. It was someone else, actually, one of my friends actually exposed that to me. And then it just set me on this trailblazing. I think because I have this purpose, then the passion comes with it, and the enthusiasm comes with it. When I did my very first nutrition presentation, I was as nervous as anything. And I thought, I can't do this. And then I thought, you know what? I don't know everything about nutrition. I never will. None of us will. But do I know more than most people in this room? Yes, I do. Do I believe? Am I saying anything that's outside of my scope or what I don't know about? No, I'm not. I'm just going to go out there. And I was so excited, and I was in front of a bunch of veterans and first responders. And at the end of it, they were all hyped up. And one of the guys just said to me, I don't know what was going on there. And he said, but we all just looked at each other and said, whatever she's eating, we want to eat it too. Because I was just bringing it. And I thought, it's just, bringing it to the table, and having that belief in myself and the bigger picture. So I'm not focused towards in the next 5 years. I know the money will come, and the work is coming, and I'm just naturally attracting it, thankfully. But I think it's also too because I am passionate. I'm passionate about it, and I think that comes across. And that energy, I have a lot of energy and positivity about it as well, because I know how much I can help people, whether it be nutrition, consultation, or a presentation. I know that I can give someone just one thing that they go and, change, habits change with just one small thing, job done. And there's my purpose. And that gets me up out of bed every morning. I've got another meeting, and last week I had so many meetings. I'm like, I did not think that this was ever going to happen. And it's amazing.
It's just going to keep snowballing, Jodi, so you better get ready.
I got my big girl pants on and I'm ready to go.
With anyone who's pioneering, and I would consider you a pioneer because you're really going into uncharted territory here. There's a lot of barriers at the start, I think, for someone to overcome, and it sounds like you were able to overcome those barriers. So, sure, there were some challenges there, but it seems to me like the belief in yourself, the passion that you have, and the belief in what you're actually teaching people has been one of the key things to get you to overcome those barriers. Are there any other pieces of advice that you could offer students or recent graduates in regards to what they could do when they're faced with a challenge or a barrier?
Yeah, definitely. I think the most important thing that I constantly have in my head is value your worth. Value your worth and value your time. And this is one of the pearls of wisdom that I got from you at uni. There were many, but having just really sticking to what your values are and believing in yourself, because the self-doubt creeps in, and especially when you get knocked back and I've lost a couple of jobs to dietitians, and I think, okay, that's fine, and one of my first quotes I sent out to a retreat, it wasn't cheap, and I didn't hear from them for a week or more. And I thought, then the self-doubt started to creep in. I wasn't out of uni long, and I thought, oh, I've charged too much, and should I change it? And I drafted an email. I was going to knock a few $100 or $500 off, and I thought, no, just wait, because I had your voice in my head saying, value your worth. If you start too cheap, you can't go up from there, kind of thing. And value your time as well. And so I just left the drafted email there. And the next thing you know, I get an email with the full schedule. Thank you. Can't wait to have you on board. And the funny thing is yesterday I received an email from a retreat, and they said, can you please send us your provider number? So we'd like to claim some Medicare, a rebate on your services. Can you send that to us as soon as possible? And I thought, oh no, here we go. I'm going to lose this job, and it's going to go to a dietitian because they can claim the Medicare. And I thought, no, take a deep breath. You win some, you lose some. It's okay. And I just went about, and I had another meeting. I had things to do, went about my day. And a few hours later, because I sent an email back saying, and I was almost going to apologize. I was going to say, sorry, I don't have Medicare access. I thought, no, don't apologize. And I said, my qualifications don't allow me to, claim Medicare. If this is an issue, claiming or delivering my services, can you let me know? And then a few hours later, I received an email saying, no, that's no problem at all. We're just seeing where if we can claim where we can. We can't wait to see you. So I thought, yes, just stick with it. So, because what I'm delivering is special, is unique, and I believe in it, and I'll just stick with it. And I think that's for, if you're a new graduate, a lot of us think we have to go straight into clinic. And I went into clinic last year thinking, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And it's great being in clinic and working with people, and it's very rewarding. And it is challenging. It's tough, and it takes a long time to build a client base. But it's not, there's so many of us, as well. There's work for everyone, but it's also thinking outside the square as well. I'm going to make a living out of not being in clinic, and it's thinking out what can you do? What's different that you can do that people will seek your services out? What is your background? What is your strength? What can you bring that's different? And definitely always just having the belief in yourself and your knowledge and continuously learning. It's you can make it yourself with those, that powerful the positive self-talk as well, because the negative talk is going to creep in. It's still sometimes, it briefly rears its head with me, and I think, no, it's okay. I'm not, and this is what I do with meditation and mindfulness. We're not forcing these thoughts or, pushing them down or anything like that. They come, you acknowledge them. I see you. Thank you very much. And then I send those thoughts on their way. See you later. I'm coming back to, I'm going to do some amazing stuff here. Let's just keep going. That's
Because
yeah. Sorry.
it's really about creating your own reality. And I know that a lot of people probably don't put a lot of weight behind that statement, but I see it all the time that people create exactly what they want. And you've created that. You have followed your dream and your passion, and now you're starting to live it. And I think you're a wonderful example of what people can do when they put their mind to something. And I'm glad that you went into clinical practice, and I'm also glad that you're working with larger groups of people. So being in clinical practice is good,
Mm,
uh, but you're very limited to the amount of people that you can actually influence and
exactly.
make positive changes. So with the work you're doing here, you're changing the lives of hundreds, probably going to be thousands, if not tens of thousands of people over the coming years. And that's far more than you would ever be able to, or far more impact than you'd ever be able to have just seeing one client every hour or so.
Yeah,
It's an incredible reach.
exactly. And that's after spending some time in clinic. I would see one client for an hour and it would be one person. Yet I would then go off to my job at Mates and there'd be 25 people there in the same hour that I could help influence positive change. And that for me felt way more powerful. And again, a valuable use of my time. And so now I think, imagine how many people I could reach on a television show. It's and the same with this online delivery of services and that as well. It's not just, I'm just working with some people who can come to my clinic in Brisbane in West End. I can reach, like you said, hundreds of people, maybe thousands. And that's really rewarding in itself.
Jodi, you mentioned you're in clinic in West End. For anyone who's interested in looking up your clinic, what do you have a website, or how would people find you?
I'm not in clinic anymore. So luckily it was good timing. I left clinic just before the whole COVID situation came about. So I only see a few, maybe half a dozen one-on-one clients at a time outside of everything else that I'm doing, because I do invest a lot of time in my one-on-ones. So I do mostly the retreats and the group activities and corporate non-profit. But I do have a website. That's jodiallennutrition.com. So it's JODIALLEN. I was about to give my Hotmail email address out there.
Oh, don't give that out. Don't give that out.
That was hilarious. Sorry. My website is jodiallennutrition.com. So it's JODIALLEN nutrition.com. And I have a Facebook page as well that you can link through with that. But I've got some articles and that on there on my website, which I built myself very proudly. So I'm not tech savvy, but I try my best. But that was a new thing to get into as well. But yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
I think that the experiences that you have and the knowledge that you have developed now over the last period of 2-3 years is really, really valuable. And I think that you can not only just help a lot of clients and the general public and the veterans and first responders, but I also think that your journey can be used as a fantastic example to inspire up and coming clinical nutritionists. So whether they're students or whether they've just recently graduated, what is your advice to students who are in clinic or student clinic at the moment? They're about to graduate or they've recently graduated and they're not sure about what they want to do.
Yeah, That's a really good one. I think have brainstorm it. If you can't think of what you may want to do with yourself, do some brainstorming. Write down some things on a piece of paper, or talk to your family and friends about what they see your strengths are. Because my strengths were there, and I didn't even realize it. But so, maybe you helped a family member through a chronic illness with your knowledge that you've gained through studying, or you've overcome, especially something that's personal, you've overcome a personal health condition or something other yourself. That can be, there's that connection with who you want your client to be. And I think then you naturally, through word of mouth, you naturally see. I noticed that when we were in clinic, one of us would attract people with gut issues. One of us would attract someone with sleep issues. It just kind of seemed to naturally happen. The universe put it out there or something. I don't know. But really, what is your strength? What is your passionate? What are you really passionate about? And what drives you? What's your thing? What is your thing? And I think then that's where the evolution happens of where your career takes you, because you have that natural strength within you. And even if right now you think, well, I don't know what that is, I don't have one, I bet you do. You just don't know it yet. And you haven't spent the time of really thinking about what that is. Or it may be someone else that can say, look, you're an amazing empath, you're a great listener, you got me through, a really difficult time, or healed my gut, or something other like that. Because when people are looking for help, it's often because they have, a specific reason. And can you connect with that? And I think that's where the magic happens.
And they're really wise words, Jodi, that you've just said there. I was also going to say, and this may not resonate with you, but maybe students have ideas about things that they want to do, or a recent graduate has an idea, and that self-doubt creeps in. And they think, oh, it's too big, I'd never make that. I'd never be able to get to that point. So they give up before they even start to try. So what I feel has happened for you possibly is that you've had that original idea and you've been persistent with it, and you haven't taken no for an answer at any one point in time. You've always tried to find a solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think it is definitely persistence, because, a couple of years ago when I was having those discussions about your mates, I was a little bit cocky. I will be your new yoga teacher. I will be your nutritionist. I will be doing these well-being programs, and it's taken time, but I've just stuck with that belief, and it's all coming true. Just as how I was studying at uni, I visualized just simply receiving my degree and wearing the hat and the cape, whatever their proper names are. That was what drove me the whole time, because that was going to be a huge achievement for me. And yeah, I think just keep that visualization up of the end game. Don't give up. Take the setbacks in your stride, and that's because I've had plenty. The fact that I even graduated is just crazy in itself, and that I've got this career that I never even dreamed of. That I've just keep continually moving forward. And we're all going to have the negative self-talk and the setbacks, but just take them in your stride and just keep, it's almost as if I willed things to happen just through sheer tenacity And grit. Someone sent me an image some time ago of the meaning of grit. And they said you epitomize grit. And it was. I was like, I hang on to stuff with my teeth, and I just hang in there. And I do. It's just hanging in there, and and just keep saying yes. Even if you feel like you want to say no, just say yes anyway. You can do it.
Well, Jodi, you do hang in there, and I admire your perseverance, and I admire everything that you've been doing. I want to ask you whether or not you feel like the training that you got throughout your degree prepared you for the things that happened once you had entered into the workplace.
Look, I think one of the best parts, like I loved being in clinic and being in a real clinic scenario. I thrived on that, and that really did help me move straight into seeing clients after I graduated. I did thrive on that, and I love that. And just the learning experience of being at uni, and the connections that I made, the friendships that I made, that I still have now. They're my, we call ourselves the nuts are us or something rather on Facebook Messenger, keeping those connections. And I think it, a lot of when you're at uni though, we do think that we do have to, like I said before, we do have to come out into clinic. And I think for me, it's think bigger than that. Maybe clinic is not going to be your thing, and that's okay. I'm not sure if I answered that.
No, it sounds like what you're saying is that you get prepared as best you can from what you're studying, but then when you leave, you really need to have a great network of other clinicians, other recent graduates or students, or your peers who you
Definitely.
can support and bounce off.
Yeah, and so we frequently, through our messenger group with my friend, I call them friends, colleagues, graduates. They're an amazing group of like-minded, because we're studying the same thing. We're like-minded. We have this connection. I know that I've made friends for life through these guys, but we, if we've got a troubling case or we're confused about something, we bounce ideas off each other, and we go through, the flat moments of, do I keep doing this? Do I need a day job? To support what I'm doing, and we help each other, and it's really great to know also that, just remember your colleagues and your fellow students, they're going through the same thing you are. You're not alone. Even when you graduate, keep the connections that you've made while you're at uni, and we support each other. And I feel ever so grateful for that it's almost like being in the military. You make these friends for life, and that's what I have done through my time at uni at Torrens, and I was grateful for that. And just keep those connections, and you can keep your support networks around you, because we're all going through the same thing, and we're all thinking the same thing as well. So you can feel, especially when you're working on your own in clinic, it can feel quite isolating, even though you're seeing clients all the time. From a professional perspective, you can actually feel a little bit isolated, and there's no one there to, tell you to stop doubting yourself. You're doing an amazing job. So, and you are, just keep going, and really draw on those support networks if you can, and making them if you haven't already.
Well, I might just give you a little bit more positive feedback now, Jodi, that you are doing what you should be doing, and I think you're doing a wonderful job. So don't let any self-doubt creep in. and keep moving forward. And I'm so excited for you and to see where the next chapter of all this is going to take you. And just on that point, because there's been so much happening for you over the last couple of years, can you think of a time, or can you think of what the most defining point of your career has been so far?
Oh, there's been a few. When I first thought about this question, the first thing came to mind is just when I sit there and I have a group of students in front of me and I just get goosebumps and I smile because I think I've got the best job in the world. But probably the thing that has been like the pinnacle was last year I was invited to the Governor General of Australia's house at Kirribilli, hobnobbing with the hoi polloi, as my dad called it. And I was all dressed up and I was in the gardens of the Governor General's house, and it was acknowledging the work that I'm doing with the veteran community. And Prince Charles was on a big screen and I'm just standing there on the grass and I'm looking over the harbour and I just started laughing and I thought, what is Jodi Allen doing at the Governor General of Australia's house? What? And I know my dad was stalking me on Find My Friends on his phone to see where I was throughout the whole day. And I just thought, this is insane. And this is huge, that I'm being acknowledged for, I'm doing something different. I'm doing something special. How did I get here? And so a little bit of a bragging thing, but also a pinch me moment. Almost felt like a bit of an imposter at one stage there. The room was filled with, dignitaries and politicians and all that kind of stuff. And here's little Jodi Allen in the corner. And I just thought, wow, just own it. This is awesome. So, and that in itself has led to some work as well. So, and that was with the Prince's Trust of Australia. So, yeah. And hopefully, I think there's going to be some more pinch me, what am I doing here moments to come, because I'm going to will it to happen.
Well, Jodi, don't forget about us when you're a big famous TV star.
Yeah, I'll try not to.
And
yeah.
working for the royal family, or whatever you may be doing.
Thinking big. That's thinking big.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that you can actually that you can get there. I think whatever you put your mind to, you will actually make happen. And that's why I believed in you so much over the years. And I've sort of tried to follow you to some degree because I think what you're doing is really interesting. It's breaking the mold, right? It's not the sort of typical type of path that most graduate clinical nutritionists would take.
Yeah.
And I actually think that this is what you've done is going to open up a lot of different pathways for people. Maybe just not in veterans affairs or working with veterans and the first responders, but giving people the inspiration to chase the dream that they've been thinking about for the longest time.
Yeah. And I hope that, even if this just helps one person, one graduate, someone that's still at uni, that you can have multiple setbacks and challenges, but you can still make it. You can still get there, and just, don't lose faith in yourself, and believe in yourself and value your worth. And Dan, I really appreciate you having me on your podcast, but also, when I was at uni, the fact that you were a clinician and you brought real world, real time experience to. I always looked forward to our lectures because, there's so many things that still stick in my mind that, and the fact that I'm doing these retreats and getting paid what I do get paid is because of, a very simple, thing that you said is value your worth. And that stayed with me. And I'm still charging those fees to this day. That was invaluable advice for me. So, thank you back.
Well, you're very welcome, Jodi, and it's the least that I can do. I want to see you do really well, and I want to see all students and all natural therapists succeed and do really well.
Yeah.
Just please go on.
Oh, I was just going to say that, I hope that people don't, lose faith in the industry that we're in. Whilst we may not be recognised by Medicare and all private health cover and all that kind of stuff, that's, still it's ongoing and may take years to change, but we can still be united in, our strength of our education and the knowledge that we have, and just believing in that, and that people want it, people need it, and people are searching out for it. And that's, we're in a health crisis. So whilst there may be many of us, we can be united in bringing what we have out there.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree with what you've just said. We have to be united. We have to come together as one voice. And I think that there has been a lot of division in the natural medicine industry over the last little while, but we're getting there. And little by little, things are improving and things are moving in the right direction. And it's like with anything good takes time. So if everything just happened tomorrow, I don't think we'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think we have to go through these trials and tribulations to come through the other side and go, all right, well, now we really value what we've got, and we really value our education, and we value the ability for us to practice and to treat people. It's all yin and yang. You've got to have, a little bit of good within a lot of bad, and a lot of good within a little bit of bad. There's always those payoffs there. So
yeah, exactly.
it's that comes back to that perseverance thing and not taking no for an answer, really.
Yeah, and also that it takes time. I haven't. This hasn't all happened overnight. Whereas it does feel like it's snowballed. It's been a very slow snowball. It's it's evolving over a couple of years, and things are just happening now that I was have been working on for a couple of years, but it's happening, and the reward is all the sweeter because I'm thinking, yes, it's finally. These things are finally happening, and that I visualized a couple of years ago. So it does take a little bit of patience as well. I'm not the overly most patient person in the world, but with meditate a lot out of that. But it pays off, and it's just that perseverance. It doesn't all happen overnight, but I think the world is changing, and we're along for the ride, and we have a part in it, and it's going to happen in our time for sure. I'm willing it.
As am I.
Yep.
Look, Jodi, thank you so much for coming along today and joining me on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. I know you're extremely busy and you've got a lot going on. Were there any concluding remarks or anything that you'd like to leave us with before we wrap up for today?
Oh, look, thank you so much for having me. And I just think, at the end of the day, that really, if you can just come away with one thing, is belief in yourself, and just keep moving forward. No matter what your dream is, you can do it, and it can come true. And that's it from me.
Once again, thank you, Jodi, for being here. I really appreciate your time. And for everyone listening at home, just to let you know Jodi Allen's website again, if you want to make contact with her, it's jodiallennutrition.com. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your time, and I hope that we're able to talk again in the future, Jodi. I'll keep watching what you're doing with a very interested eye.
That's great. Thanks so much for having me, and thanks everyone for listening. It's been a pleasure.